Hey, 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 this is Natasha, and I'm here with the amazing Lindsey Granger. How are you, darling?
Hi, Natasha. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, who are you? What are all the wonderful things that you do?
Well, my name is Lindsey Granger, like you said, and I am a journalist, I guess, by trade. And
Mhm.
but I think that we aren't only defined by our career. So when you ask me who am I, I'm somebody who believes passionately in what I do and just want to, reach my highest potential. And I want everything that I work on to come from a place of love and good energy, and I want that to show through all my work. And so whether I'm reporting on politics for MSNBC, which I've done in the past, or producing pieces for REVOLT TV, which is Puff Daddy's music network, or even right now working for ABC Network and working on a lifestyle entertainment show called The List. I want to shine through and basically tell the stories of other people and give them the platform to kind of share their voice and tell it in a way that's digestible, fun, and just really relatable. And I'm just like everyone else. I'm a reporter, and I just want to share my story. And I think that that's what all of our goals are, is to be able to be heard and share our story. And so I want to help people do that often.
Awesome. So, when did you fall in love with journalism?
I think when I was really young, I used to watch News 12, which you know in New York, and
Yes.
just like yeah, exactly. Any city has their local newscast, but I used to think the girls on there, and not that they weren't, just that they were so famous. As a little girl, it doesn't matter if you were on TV, you were like, wow. And I used to like, that's a job, especially the good times. There's always like, okay, there was a DIY I mean, not a DIY, a DUI accident or something that is being reported on the news. But there's also like good moments and people laughing and anchors hysterically laughing at the desk. And I would be like, oh my God, how cool of a job is that to give information out and also enjoy the presence of another person and share the news stories of the day. And so I kind of pursued that and went to college to Temple University, and they had the old set from CBS in Philly. And I was like even more enthralled once I got to Temple and realized that this is a really cool thing. And I couldn't get over the fact that that's a possible job to even be working in a newsroom. And then finally, when I got my first job at MSNBC as a production assistant, I don't feel like I worked for like the first 5 years. I mean, at some point, yes, you figure out work and a work-life balance, and work is a little bit of work. But in the beginning, I swear, for 5 years, I was just like, this is not work. Like this is. I was just amazed at the fact that I was in this massive newsroom in 30 Rockefeller Plaza in the middle of Manhattan, and just had the chance and access to all these amazing people, and I had access to NBC Universal. And so I think that I was always forever an intern, and still am in my mind, in the mindset of an intern, and I want to learn and grow and be like a sponge and just take in information. I never think that I know it all, and that's how I know that this is the right career for me, because I love to learn, and I'm every day when I meet somebody or interview somebody, I'm learning something new about a topic or a person or a thing, and hopefully I'm getting that across in the stories that I report on.
Wonderful. I love that you were attracted to the art of storytelling. I think that with how explosive social media is and how we have all these influencers and bloggers really capitalizing and monetizing the art of storytelling, it's true that there's something really magnetic and really quite beautiful and just like unlike any other job, right? The opportunity, like you were saying, to be able to share someone's story and present something where it makes a million people just be like, oh my God, I have to know this. That's an incredible power and probably an incredible honor to have as well. So with that, I guess I would say, what is why are we speaking today? A, because you're fabulous, but B,
Thank
um,
you. Sometimes I don't feel that way, but I appreciate that.
absolutely. But B, because you're a sister on fire, and this is what the series is all about. It's about speaking with women who are just badass in their lives unapologetically in whatever they're doing. And it comes from the play that was started by Marcia McNair and Anissa Moore, and they wanted to share that Black woman narrative, and they wanted to share what women of color are experiencing in this country, and everything from love to politics to relationships to poverty to sisterhood. I mean, the play really runs the gamut. So it's quite the storytelling mechanism itself. Now, for you as a sister on fire, as we deem you as one, what are some challenges and adversities that you face in your career so far?
Sure. Well, first I want to say that thank you for acknowledging me as a sister on fire, and I think that there are so many of us. Earlier today, you and I were talking about how it's hard for us to kind of all stand in our light as Black women or sisters
Mhm,
or women of color when
mhm,
we are achieving and successful and even small victories. It's hard for us to let everyone know without feeling like we need to humble ourselves. You know
mhm,
that we have won and have made a small victory, and even just talking to you, I learned that it's okay to be proud of yourself and to share that with the world. And I think
mhm,
we all have the platform now where we're able to tell our own stories, whether it's to a group of 10 or 10 million. And I
mhm,
think more and more Black women, we have to congratulate ourselves and each other and support one another because we are, as you see these hashtags like Black Girl Magic, Black Girls Rock, we
mhm,
do rock. And so we're all sisters on fire. And if your girl runs at the gym for 5 miles and hasn't been in the gym in 2 years, congratulations. That's something that you should share with all
mhm.
your friends and comment under and like it to death. And if she wins an Academy Award, the same thing. But just know, even the small victories make you a sister on fire. So it doesn't matter what you do. So,
Absolutely. I love that.
and I think in that, some of the things that I've learned, I grew up in Long Island, which is not the most diverse place in the world, but my town, North Babylon, happened to be a pretty diverse town with diverse high schools. So my kids, the kids that I was friends with growing up, were Asian, Latino. Like it didn't even matter. I didn't really see color, and I didn't
Mm,
experience racism to the degree that, as you can see it, as the magnitude that it is, that you can see in the press these days, just from
mhm,
seeing with our president and some of the issues going on there. I never had experienced it as a child in my mind, so maybe my parents did a good job of protecting me from it because I know that it did exist. But my
mhm,
first experiences with it were really was blatant, happened to be in the workplace, and it was tough for me to
mhm,
grasp because it wasn't only just being a woman. I mean, being an African American person, it was also being a woman, and so it's like, you know, automatically I am looked upon as if I was a threat because I want to know what is fair for me and fight for what's fair for me. And so as soon as I bring that up as an issue, as opposed to maybe a Caucasian male, then I become the angry Black woman at work. And so that
mm,
is the thing. That's the thing that also has like plagued, I think, a lot of Black women as they try to rise up in the ranks, and women in general. And I think that has to stop because when a woman raises her voice about what she deserves and fights for what she believes in, it's looked at as all these other words that we wouldn't call men. And so I think that's something that I've experienced in the workplace is knowing my worth and my value and what I bring to the table that differs from my colleagues, and always asking for what I believe I deserve. And if not, making tough decisions and having to move on, which hasn't been, I never left on a bad note. I think that it's always good to keep your relationships intact and leave classy and, explore different options. But there's a time to grow, and you know it. And I think it goes in the same vein of saying that you can say that you're awesome and support yourself and shine in your light. You know when you outgrown something. And I think I took that knowledge on really quickly growing up and understanding in my career anyway, when it was time to go and when it was time to fight for what I wanted and when it was time to move on and believe in a bigger cause and stay. So I think that those are things that I've learned. And, as a woman and a woman of color working, those are things that I've learned along the way. And even though the road has been tough and I'm still growing and to get to where I'm trying to get, to me, it's Black women are amazing because we can get through it. As you can see, we always get through it.
mhm.
And we are just built in a way that we can push through and make it happen, even if we have to work 10 times as harder, 10 times as fast. We still always do it. And so just imagine if we support one another and make the playing field level, we'll soar beyond our wildest imaginations. And so that's all I'm trying to promote. And I constantly want to pull other women and other people of color up with me because it's important that once you get to the top that you don't just turn your back and keep moving. You have to be the beacon of light that brings other people in. That's why I support diversity programs and support different initiatives that get people in the door actually doing the work and creative minds building the product, because you can't only have a one-track thinking when you're producing content for the masses, because people look and feel very differently. And so you need to make sure all views are supported if you're going to do an objective show.
Mm, awesome. So now, when it has come to identifying or dealing with race matters in your career. What were, I guess, resources that you used to overcome some of these challenges, or people trying to, like, I guess, stand in your way of success?
Well, you have to find allies, I think, early on in your career.
Hmm.
Whether they're in the building, and you should always try to find at least one ally in the building, if not, then outside as like a mentor, because I think there's times when you want to react as you would with your friends, and they'll
Hmm.
understand you enough to accept it. And then there's times where you really have to just take a deep breath and kind of just accept it and just talk to maybe somebody who's been a little bit more seasoned than yourself, that will give you advice that will help you propel yourself instead of set you back. And I've always found allies, even if it was by accident. I found allies like one woman who runs MSNBC named Yvette Miley. She was my mentor growing up, and it was almost by accident because I was working hard late one night. We ran into one another, and she saw me still there, knew that I lived in Long Island, and she was just like, you know, I know that you live an hour away from our job, and you're still here, and it's late. And she was still there, so I'm looking like, wow, this lady works hard. But through those little small instances, we became more than colleagues, and she became more than my boss's boss. She became somebody that mentored me because I was unafraid to walk in her office and just ask her a simple question, or I did enough research about her background that she was willing to know that I studied her and really was genuinely interested in learning about her. She took the time to explain to me her career. And I think if you're smart enough to find those people that you naturally blend well with, those people will help you. And they don't have to be male, woman, or of any background. You know, they can be allies from all different, you know, backgrounds, and they'll help you get to that place. And if you find one of those in every one of your jobs, no matter if they're parallel to you or above you, they can help you continue to build and grow and find the smartest decisions as you face tough circumstances. Because there'll be a sounding board without, without it going the wrong way. There'll be a sounding board to help you make smart decisions for your career and just not maybe knee-jerk reactions.
Great advice. Awesome. So now, are there other, I guess, she sounds like she's definitely a sister on fire. Are there other women that you like looked up to either growing up or you currently really admire and respect that essentially helped you become the woman you are today?
Absolutely. There were so many people. I think part of the thing was that I was never scared or intimidated by anyone. I was more genuinely interested, and I told people. And sometimes they didn't respond. Like I would just email them somebody as big as, let's say, the CEO at the time of Universal Pictures. He might not respond, but he happened to respond, or there's other women that, like Melissa Harris Perry, who had her show on MSNBC, she's a no nonsense. And so when I came to her, I had to come to her correct. And when I applied for her show, I did all my research, and we had thorough conversations. And over time, we built a relationship. And she's a sister on fire who won't accept anything and really just goes after what she wants and has created a lane for herself. So that's somebody I look up to. There's ABC News correspondent Mara Schiavocampo. When I was an intern, she literally spent time with me and explained to me how she went from producing her own pieces overseas to getting hired as the first digital correspondent for nightly news. She made up a whole title for herself, and it showed me that anything is possible. Now she's a correspondent for Good Morning America. So I think there's so many women and people that have embraced me along the way and just been willing to just sit down with me for 20 minutes. And it has shown me that, wow, if this person is willing to talk to you and they're at such a high level, make sure that, one, you become that person when you get there. And also make sure that you are really taking this advice and understanding that if they got there and they're explaining to you how similar they are to you, you can get there. And I think that there's sisters on fire all over. My mother is one. She changed her career at like 45 years old. She was a travel agent and then completely did a 180 in her career. And now she's the director for Sandals and Beaches Resorts, which is amazing. She just completely changed her career. And that's somebody that I look up to. My grandmother, she got me my first internship. She brought me to the fair out of college and dragged me to Nassau Coliseum, I believe. And it was like, you need to get an internship for the summer. I didn't even know what an internship was my first year of college. And I got one at the Long Island Press. And that's really because my grandmother said, we're going down here. So I can credit her to why I even work in journalism, because I had enough experience when I graduated to get a job right away.
Wonderful.
So there's just so many. And women like you who have organizations that are really, in the community. Because what I do is tell the stories, but the groundwork and the people with boots on the ground really trying to change young women and young women of color's lives, and anybody who is, systematically at a disadvantage, and trying to tell them that doesn't stop you from being great and doing that every day. You guys are the people that do the work that's really admirable, so that I can share those stories,
Thank you. Yeah. So then that leads me to my question of media, right? So as a storyteller, having the opportunity and the power to be able to showcase what's really going on in our community, sometimes I personally would feel, and I know I've heard a similar sentiment, thus kind of how Sisters on Fire came to be as a play, that our media isn't diverse enough, it's not inclusive enough. So why do you think we're not seeing as many Sisters on Fire in real life, in our news, in our movies, in our TV? Like, what do you think is, like, real talk? Like, what's the deal?
Well, I think that we need more people of color in power. Because I think that there are so many talented people from all backgrounds that should be shown to make television and our media, even movies, look how our world looks now. We're all just some mixed in, like, round, like everyone is mixed in. Like, there's no, just like, it's not that simple anymore as black and white. And so I think our TV shouldn't look like that. And I think that the more that we continue to grow or support each other and, promote people of color into leadership roles, the more we can begin to change. And also those people need to remember that they have to, like, diversity is not leaving anyone out. It's bringing people in so that everything, so that the projected outcome is how it needs to be as opposed to how it's been. And I think that people, we need more people empowered to make the decisions, because it's amazing to have black directors and it's amazing to have black producers and talent on new shows and on movies. But until we have studio heads that are African American and women like Shonda Rhimes, that's when we can really make change. And you've seen over the last couple of years that there has been major network change on primetime shows, with Shonda Rhimes in place. And that's just an example of one black woman who's living her truth and really changing things. So imagine if we had more opportunity or create our own, where we can go. Because honestly, I think, and I might not be quoting it exactly correct, but I believe that black television viewers are some of the highest consumers in media whatsoever. And so if you have the black audience, you can see where something like Girls Trip blew the expectations out of the water. So I think that we need to stop waiting for people to give us a chance to create things like that and create it on our own and then support one another. And there's no stopping us.
I love that you said that diversity is not about excluding a group, but including everyone. And I feel like sometimes that becomes a part of the conversation, that when we want to make something diverse, that people sometimes fear the exclusion of maybe like the status quo. And I think it is a mindset thing, that being more inclusive doesn't mean taking away, showing a certain group of people. It's about diversity of what is shown. And I think that probably has to be a part of the message. And I totally agree with you. I think that the only way to have, again, to have success is to have, in that regard, is to have us being decision makers and key holders when it comes to that. So I guess what are some of your tips then for how we as a community can kind of rise up and make sure that we have the representation that we should have?
Well, I think in politics, it's always been pretty simple. It's that we can't only vote in the presidential election. And it's hard to say that to kids, because I know when I was 18, that's all I cared about is presidential election. Like, I'm not worried about the local elections that happen way too often for my 18-year-old taste. But as I get older, I'm hitting my 30s, I'm like, okay, it makes sense to be involved in this, to not complain about the fact that your school has too many kids in each class if you didn't vote in the local elections. So I tell everyone who's 18 plus, if you can just take a look at some of the elections, even when it's around that time, and just see how you can get involved, or even, really research the candidates to see who most benefits what you believe in, and really just get out there. It really doesn't take too long. So that's on a political landscape, changing the way that we try to battle systematic racism. But when you're talking about in media and in television, I think that it's important for people who are mid-level like me and people who are even higher to remember that it's their duty to continue to strive towards and not be, not sit back and watch the program that they're working on or with not include diversity. Like, it's important that they make that a priority on their list. And I know it's a big burden to carry if you just want to be an actress or you just want to be a television host. You don't actually have to do that. It's like telling the NFL players, like, you all have to kneel. But imagine if they all stuck together and kneeled. They were like, you know, and it's hard to tell somebody to do that because for them, the day-to-day is more important. The fact that I get this check for my family and we all succeed is important, which is understandable. But it can't just be about me. It has to be about everyone else so that we can continue to grow that way. And, you know, I think we've been seeing it when people are supporting Scandal in the way that they do. It's gotten Shonda Rhimes 2 more shows on the network and now a deal with Netflix. So, you know, that's the way to do it, is keep supporting and then to keep making sure that you're building up young writers and young on-air people. And whenever somebody, even somebody who's my peer, sends me like a direct message on Instagram, like, I really want to report, how'd you get into this? Then I'll follow them back and explain how I got into it, because I know that was me. So you can't get there and just, you know, ignore everyone. You have to constantly keep pulling it up. And also, we are in a time where we can create our own content so easily, which is exciting and nerve-wracking and also scary, because if you want to be a movie producer, it's really not that expensive to buy a DSLR camera and create a short film and put it yourself on YouTube and get 1,000 views and get 1,000 people to share that and then get 10,000 views. You know, you can actually do it, but it's just scary that you have that much power. So most people incapacitate themselves and won't do it because they think they need a big studio to make it happen. But I've seen people that I went to college with now creating films for BuzzFeed Video, you know, and that they made off of cameras that weren't really expensive. And so I just say, if you're not doing what you want to do yet, you know, there's been times where I worked for free and just made content so that I was constantly perfecting my craft and making content. You have to just get out there and make content, build your YouTube page, and keep pushing to meet with those high-level executives. But if you're not getting there, all you're going to be doing is perfecting your craft and continuing to work. And sooner or later, you're going to make it happen because, you know, Will Smith once said, like, I might not be the most athletic, but I will die on the treadmill. Like, you will not outrun me. Because it's about willpower and it's about continuing to do it. And so I think if people just keep that in mind, then they can get there, and they don't need anybody to see that they are good enough to create the content. You just have to actually be creating it, and then the work will speak for itself.
See, this is why you are a sister on fire. Like, what you just said was so true and so amazing. It was like church. Like, I just wanted to be like, preach on it. Just go ahead. That was so
my God.
dope.
I mean, because I'm so scared. I was scared for the longest to try stuff. And so I just, all these thoughts in your head, you make up reasons why it can't happen. And then when you realize 2 years later that it happened, you're like, why didn't I do this 2 years ago? And so now it's just like, I don't care. I'm like, if I find out what the email of the Universal Pictures CEO is, I'm sending him an email. And just here's my... And you're not going to give away the idea, but, like, I'd love to sit with you for 20 minutes. I can share this idea plus this non-disclosure agreement. You know, it's just like, but don't be scared. Like, if somebody, I actually would respond to someone that emailed me out the blue and said, you know, something that was creative. Like, I know back in the day, people used to send, like, pizza boxes or a cake to a news director with their resume and some creative thing to get them to watch their resume tape, which is like over the top. Nobody's asking for that anymore. But it's the fact that you went out of your way to get the attention of somebody who generally doesn't get emails from anyone besides executives. That I've actually gotten responses like that. So if you believe that your content is that good to share, then share it. If you have a tape of you doing interviews around your own community that wasn't for a news network and you want to be a news reporter, send that tape. Get yourself a mic and a camera and send that tape, because somebody will hire you, I guarantee you.
Amazing, amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't even ask for any more gems to be dropped. This is crazy. Is there a book on the way in this thing? Like how to be a media star, fear with no fear and you know, determination. I hope there's a book coming.
Oh my God, I don't think I have enough life experience yet, but I'm working on it.
There you go. Stop it. See, no more humbleness. I want you out here shining.
You're right. I'm writing a book. You're right. I'm getting to it.
That book.
I'll compile all my stories that I got so far and tell people how to get here.
Exactly. All right. So what are you currently working on so that you can share and shout out everything? Do not leave any rock unturned.
Well, I am currently working at The List, like I told you, which is a daily nationally syndicated show on ABC that's really fun and engaging. And then outside of that, I'm just taking a lot of time to write, because something that I love to do is create content, but I want to create it on a bigger level, something like a television show that I will be able to relate to. And so I'm working on my first scripted series, and hopefully you guys will hear more about that in the future. You know, that's
Absolutely.
the goal. And so I'm not gonna shy away from my 2018 goals. You know, hopefully that does come to fruition, and I can come back and talk to you guys about that and tell you how to watch it. So, you know, I think once you're a creative, you're creative, and I don't think we have to box ourselves in. And I think if you master one craft and you have an idea for another, go for it. And that's what I'm going to be doing in 2018.
Awesome. And do you want to give like little snippets about what that project is, or just stay tuned?
Well, I don't really, it's not fully formed yet, but I will say that it's, you know, as I'm watching shows like Insecure and Atlanta, and I'm seeing how important it is to tell our stories properly, I'm realizing that there is a void and a space to be filled with more stories that are written properly and told by people that have experienced life in the way that us Black women have. And so that's what my goal is, to create a show that somebody just watches and says, like, screams at the TV the same way that I do when I watch Insecure, like, yes, or like, you know, whatever it is, you know, just really relating to it. And whether Insecure is your show or not, whatever show is your show, that's what I want to create. If that reaction is garnished by even a couple people, that will make me very happy.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, I was, heartbroken. I mean, you know, whether people are fans or not of like Girlfriends, you know, I miss having that opportunity to tune into a program where I can see, you know, 4 or 5 women of color who look different, who have different like narratives, and just kind of living their life together. And that, you know, obviously it's a scripted show, but just I would love something where we could, look on TV and see yourself. I mean, growing up, like for myself, both my parents are from Jamaica. I love my Caribbean culture, but again, I don't necessarily always see it represented in the way that is relatable, other than like a stereotype, right? And also just seeing women that look different. I have curly hair. I want to see women with natural hair. I want to see women of all different shades, of all different weight sizes, right? I'm plus size, I'm curvy. Where are my curvy queens at? I want to see my curvy girls, right? Like, not everyone has to be a size 2. The average woman is definitely not a size 2. Right? Let's kind of let's be real and show what real people look like, and diversify and empower, because the only way to feel beautiful is to see yourself in things that you do and where you go in the world. And I think people don't I guess executives maybe are underestimating the impact that they're having on our young girls, on women and men, of course, right? Like all genders and all people. So I look forward to, not hopefully, but seeing your program, your show come to life in 2018. That would be amazing. So how can I guess if people want to get in touch with you, to collaborate with you, or to pick your brain about something, like how can they kind of feel your flame? How can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. They can just head to my website. It's lindseygranger.com, LINDSEYGRANGER.com. And contact me will go straight to me, and it has all my social media, Instagram, Facebook, any way you want to talk to me, I answer. It all goes straight to my email.
Perfect. Awesome. You are amazing. I know people will truly enjoy the advice that you gave, because it's really critical. And I think it's going to be a big part of how we can move forward for 2018 and beyond. So thank you, sister. You are such an amazing queen, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Natasha. You are on fire yourself, so I appreciate sharing your space once again.
Thank you, darling. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.